these techniques like the Mahabandha and the mudra combination, they're it's a physical technique, right? And what it's actually doing is kind of breaking down this quote imagined barrier between consciousness and the body. Okay. And the sort of interface between the two is the energetic body. Well, and all the subtle layers of the body. But, sort of crudely speaking, it's mostly the energetic body interfacing between consciousness and the physical body. And and the reason I call it an imagined barrier is because actually, in reality, the body is an expression of consciousness. Like in physics, they say everything is energy. Well, energy, if you kind of take that down to the ultimate, is consciousness. So everything is consciousness. Your body is an expression of consciousness. It's got consciousness in every fiber of it, every cell. And so this these practices, we've looked at it in terms of awakening subtle energy, prana, in the body, right? Kundalini Shakti. So we talked about that. But as I said I think the first lesson, that all energy is inherent in consciousness, and consciousness is the source of all energy. So it's the source of, it's actually Shakti is one sort of side of the coin of consciousness. So um, you can look at it as awakening subtle energies, or you can look at it as more profoundly as actually breaking down the barrier between consciousness and the body. And this has really amazing uh, implications. For one thing, it will really advance your practice of the siddhis. Uh, those who have already taken the siddhis course will kind of hopefully have an idea of what I'm talking about. But by when I when we've in that course, we talked about um, establishing channels and opening channels between consciousness and the body. And that's exactly what I'm talking about here. You're actually breaking down the barrier. So consciousness slash Kundalini Shakti flows into the body, and samyama is a way of directing that to produce a certain effect. So you have the different sutras that you use in the siddhis, and it directs that consciousness slash energy to produce a certain result. But the only way that's possible is by breaking down the barrier between consciousness and the body. So it has to flow, into these channels. And so these techniques of that I just mentioned, Mahabandha, and particularly, and all the mudras and the mudra combinations, all those uh, are a way of breaking down that barrier. So actually, both of these courses, this course and the siddhis course, they fit together. They really complement each other, and they kind of, in your practice, they'll be interwoven in some way. You'll find as you continue to practice and advance in each, they'll start to weave into each other. So, in any case, that's why I really encourage these practices, and it's very profound. And actually, ultimately, even beyond the siddhis, you've heard the legends of very, yogis who have extended their lifespan, sometimes to really unbelievable an extent, like, immortality type of thing. Um, and whether or not that's a reality, I do believe, based even on this experience that you can have, that consciousness is timeless, right? It's eternal. So if you're breaking down the barrier between consciousness and the body, you're getting eternity to flow in your body. And first of all, that's another kind of name for this is soma, because what's flowing is actually the soma. Soma, as I said, is like the first manifestation of consciousness. So consciousness doesn't flow, it doesn't go anywhere, but its sort of representative does, and that's soma. And um, and so soma is going to be flowing, and that's the nectar of immortality, they call it. That Amrita, the nectar of immortality, is another name for soma. So that nectar of immortality is flowing into your body, and it's nourishing the intelligence of the body to get all the different aspects of the body to function in an optimal way, fully coordinated, and that's going to create optimal health. So that in itself will increase longevity. But then you've got this influence of something that's eternal and immortal, saturating your physical being. And so that is how, if there is such a thing of as yogis extending their life for, to amazing extent, this is how it's done. It's getting that nectar of immortality, it's getting consciousness itself to really flow and permeate the body. And therefore, you get the influence of eternity on the body. So, uh, anybody who really wants to become a yogi and you know really get into it, here you go. This is these practices give you unlimited potential, to pursue. Actually, the cities very much help to integrate the experience, because you're actually functioning on this really subtle level. And it's like, anything, it's like practicing the piano, you're practicing. And so that's integrating. Maybe you already know the scales and you know the songs, but now you're integrating to be able to actually perform it. And so the cities are like that. You're integrating uh, that consciousness into your physiology, these different channels, and integrating the layers of the mind and such to be able to have the experiences, that the cities indicate. So it's very integrative and helpful.